Loading. Welcome to Access the Animus.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new video here on Access the Animus. Today we're going to have a roundup of some of the most recent news about the upcoming content of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In the video we're going to have a look at the recent news and updates about the Discovery Tour expansion for the game, and then we're going to have a look at both the Astral Blade and the Valravn's Claw, the two-handed weapons designed by the members of the Mentors Guild. We're also going to analyze the newly released roadmap hinting at the content planned beyond October 19th of this year with title update 1.4.0 and some hypotheses about what its main content might be about, and the new and likely final festival of the year called Oskoreia Festival. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it, subscribing to our channel and turning the notifications on so you won't miss any of our future updates. And with that out of the way, let's have a look at the most recent news surrounding Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So let's start with the various bits of news about the upcoming Discovery Tour mode, which will allow us to play several quests that will teach us about the Viking and Saxon cultures of the 9th century and will be available on October 19th. In the last few days, the Assassin's Creed accounts have shared several video teasers containing various info about the mode, the first of which is the confirmation of Jotunheim as the 4th playable map, along with England, Norway and Asgard. The video also showed 3 characters that look like Thor, old Odin riding a stag, which once again confirms our mount in the mythological realms, and Freya, along with Mimir's Well as a location of the game where we can very much imagine we'll be interacting with Mimir himself somehow. The second teaser video shows us the first look at the equipment set that will be just one of the rewards coming from the Discovery Tour, which was rumored to be called Elderman's Set thanks to the information found in the game files by Andy Reloads, but the video also shows us a first look at the ship cosmetics, again available by playing this expansion, so players can really expect a pretty interesting amount of rewards for this mode. Next we have a third video that shows us all the characters that can be used specifically in the free roam part of the Discovery Tour. We can count 24 of them, and it's interesting that the tweet says that these characters can be used in free roam, as this kind of confirms our hypothesis that instead the main quests of the Discovery Tour will be directly tied to some specific characters and thus will be playable only through them. So, slowing the video down, we can see that 21 of these 24 playable characters in free roam are King Alfred, Stowe, Hytham, Female Eivor, Basim, who even got his own dedicated video. Then we have Non-Canon Eivor, Ivar the Boneless, Loki, Rebecca, Sean, Layla, Sigurd, Young Sigurd, Ceolbert, Odin from Eivor's Mind, Randvi, Soma, Thor, Guthrum, Valka and Freya. Along with these, there are also 3 new characters that appear in the list called Ilrich, Thorstein and Gunhilda, and they are not 3 random characters as they seem to be some of the main characters of some of the quests of the Discovery Tour mode, and we have also seen them in the Discovery Tour key art. Lastly, another teaser about the new quests or stories has been released, and if you're wondering why there's now quests in the Discovery Tour, we suggest you check our last video on the matter, and considering the topic at hand and the shown characters, it seems even more likely that King Alfred, Thorstein, Gunhilda and Ilrich will be the main characters for some specific quests of the Discovery Tour expansion. Next, as you might have seen on our social media recently, and in our videos as well, the Valravn's Claw and the Astral Blade one-handed swords that were designed by the members of the Mentors Guild and then brought to life in-game by the Assassin's Creed Valhalla devs are now available. Sadly only for the Mentors currently, but they will be made available in the coming months to everyone else through the Ubisoft Connect platform. They are respectively a Viking sword that some of our admins even helped design, and an Isu one, for which the teams of mentors that designed them even prepared concepts and a brief document featuring a brief story for the swords and the perks that they envisioned for them, before sending them over to the dev team. Of course, not all of that made it to the game, especially the story, because the concepts involved very important characters like Eivor, Hytham, and Yisu, but in terms of looks and to a degree in terms of perks, they are pretty much the same as they were originally designed. So yeah, the swords are out there, it's just a matter of time before Ubisoft decides to make them public. Oh, and if you'd like to know a bit more about how the weapons were designed, the selection process, and the various teams that were involved, you can check one of our recent streams where we discuss that a bit more in depth. Next we have a new roadmap. Well, at this point it's kinda old, as some of its content has been released already, but basically it outlined the content for Valhalla for October and beyond. Of course, Title Update 1.3.2 has been released last Tuesday, so as you might know by now, it is mainly focused on the preparation for the release of the Discovery Tour expansion on October 19th, but the patch also added graphic mode for the Google Stadia console, a rebalancing for the actual effects of the skill nodes that were added post-launch, which weren't working properly before the update, some much better description of the difficulty settings of the game, and a number of new database entries that we do suggest you check out. The roadmap also showed that a new title update named 1.4.0 is also inbound after the release of the Discovery Tour, likely at the start of November, and it's a 0.0 update, meaning it's going to contain a substantial addition, usually in the form of a new festival, as it was with 1.1.0 with the Yule Festival, 1.2.0 with the Ostara one, and 1.3.0 with the Sigurdblot one. And indeed we already know about our new festival, but we'll get into that a bit later. Now, the mystery about this patch is that a part of its content seems tied to a location that hasn't been seen in the game yet, so of course fans have tried to speculate about where this might lead, and personally, I kind of agree with the hypotheses shared by your Raptor, which are oriented to either the rumored crossover with Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Cassandra, or to a final payoff to the Odin runes that we've been talking about multiple times here on the channel. I actually tend to be more inclined towards the Odin runes because the rumors involving Cassandra also seem to hint at a new story location and map, which coupled with the new festival would be too much for one patch. Plus, what we are shown in the picture seems to be taking place in some kind of cave featuring some traps, and we have already seen that a few of the Odin runes are indeed placed close to some cave locations. Moreover, the tweet where the roadmap was announced featured the emojis for lenses, a man walking, and mountains, which could be a reference to the Discovery Tour, but could also be a reference to the Odin runes, as some of them are indeed found on the side of mountains, so... Interestingly enough, through an interview by Your Raptor, producer Jose Araiza confirmed that there's not going to properly be a game mode coming for Season 4, as it happened with the other seasons, but there is going to actually be a big surprise for players, that many have believed to be the rumored Cassandra mission or story crossover, but now we can actually consider this to be another pointer at the content portrayed in the title update 1.4.0 picture, and thus, again, it could be another reference to a potential and final Odin runes payoff. And finally, the last element of the roadmap is the fourth and possibly final festival of the year, which will kick off Season 4 for the game and is called Oskoreia Festival. Now, differently from the previous festivals, Oskoreia isn't a name for an actual pagan festival celebrating a time of the year, but instead, as you might have already heard, it's a Norwegian version of the myth of the Valhalla, which is this kind of folklore motif that has appeared through many European culture and usually involved, quoting Wikipedia, a soul-raving chase led by a mythological figure escorted by a ghostly or supernatural group of hunters passing in wild pursuit, which was thought to presage some catastrophe like war or plague, or at best the death of the person who witnessed it. In the Norse culture, Oskoreia is understood to be a variant of the Asgardsreia, which means the riders of Asgard, who of course are led by Odin, and as we can see, this festival centered around the wall hunt and the respect for the dead will bring a gloomy mood to Ravensthorpe, or at least part of it. Now, this is more or less what we know about the Oskoreia Festival for now, but YouTuber Andy Reloads has shared several pieces of information coming from the game files, which of course, and as usual, have to be taken with a grain of salt, as any or even all of them might not represent the final version of the festival. So while we won't get into the specifics of the quests tied to the festival in order to avoid spoilers, we do report that Andy and his pal Petter found that the Oskoreia event might indeed feature activities surrounding honoring the dead, avoiding the wild hunt to cross the veil and get to the world of the living, and carving the dead's names into a ceremonial longship, which might be the one shown in the roadmap picture. According to the files, there's also going to be a horse challenge, possibly called Aki's Horse Challenge, that will even include running into barriers or enemies and hitting or killing them, while some other activities like Swinda's tournament and the archery range will make a comeback. Now, the archery range, while it will be back and will probably cause more fans to be annoyed by it, it will also feature a slight modification, where hitting the wrong targets will remove points from the tally you make up by hitting the right ones. Swinda's tournament will also be similar to its past version, but again with a twist, in that it appears that players this time will have to choose specific pieces of equipment or sets before joining the fight, instead of the weapons as it was in the past. As usual, completing these activities and the aforementioned quests is likely going to earn players a number of tokens that will later be spent at Norvid's shop to gain the festival rewards, which, again according to Andy, will be a new armor set, a new tattoo set, a new scythe weapon called Fallfest Scythe, a new raven skin called Bony Raven, and new hair and beard cosmetics. So as usual, we'll have some new additions to look forward to in the coming weeks once the festival is officially available. And that was it for today's video. Are you excited about the content planned for the last few months of the year for Assassin's Creed Valhalla? And if you are, what is it that you are expecting the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.